Good morning, and what's ripening, or should I say what's flowering YouTube. So I got a bunch of responses from the last video. Everybody wants to see the mangoes, so let's go check them out. Pretty early in the morning, so the lighting's pretty good. The dog is amped, and we have not done a lot in here since my last maintenance piece, my last prune. So my Napier grass is up tall, but that's not what this video is about. So I'm gonna come up over here to the corner and start there. Row number one, tree number one is Sweet Tart. Sweet Tart for me normally is productive every single year. It's one of my favorite fruits. I've had it break branches. Its fruit's so heavy. But this year, no flowers. Completely free of flowers. This is the first year I've ever seen that happen. So I don't know if that's from the storm or just bad timing with cold fronts, or maybe it just needed a break. I don't know. Next one is Cack. To be honest with you, I was going to top work this tree last year, and so I cut off some of the big branches, and then the storm took off some more. It's coming back. The reason I was going to top work it is because it's such a vigorous tree. It actually outgrows its spot every year. Let me back up a little bit. And that makes it very difficult to manage in my grove. My grove, you know, the trees are spaced 15 feet apart. And so with an ultra vigorous variety, which I find this one to be, Cack, it just doesn't fit, because when I prune it back, it doesn't want to flower properly. The only parts that do flower are the parts that I didn't prune. So in this case, it didn't flower this year either. Obviously it's growing quite fast vegetatively, but more than likely I will cut that stump and then top work, either with Sweet Tart or something else in this line. Next one is Harvest Moon. Again, if there's any flowers, there's not very many. Makes really big fruit. Usually it performs better on a colder year. This was not really a cold winter year, so I don't know if it just didn't stimulate. I see a few flowers. There's a few panicles on this side. Come in here. So this side of the tree's flowered. This happened last year on a couple trees. The outside of the grove, no flowers, and then in the more protected side, it did flower. Next tree is PPK. Last year it held a lot of fruit. This year, not flowering, not even active. It's just kind of chilling out. Usually by now it would be already bloomed out. It's usually an earlier variety for me. The next one is the famous Bolt tree. We had some early flowers, and then we've got more flowers developing now. This year it looks like it's flowering okay. It did get knocked over pretty bad with the storm, and it's showing a little bit of, I think it's a little bit of cold damage. This side of the grove got a little more cold than other areas, and so I've noticed a little bit of what looks like cold damage. But it is progressing into flower. Usually this is a later season variety, but we did have some early flowers, so we may have it, you know, a few here and there, and then a main season. This is a replacement. We put in, it's called Ambica. We just planted it recently. The tree that we took out was Zill variety. I just wasn't wild about it. Let's see, next one is the Sugar Loaf. This one is flowering very well this year. I think this will probably be the first year that it makes a significant amount of fruit, assuming that it sets well. This is definitely the best that it's flowered. This is a young tree. It's only been here for a few years. The ones down that way were planted in 2017, and I think the ones down this way were planted in like 2019 or something like that. Next one is Fruit Cocktail. It's not my favorite. Came out the same year that Sugar Loaf came out. Flower's pretty good. I have a few people that are in love with this fruit. It's got kind of a different flavor. It's not one that I particularly enjoy, but I do have some big fans of it. Next tree is Saint Alon, which I later found out is the same thing as guava, which I also have planted in the grove. I love this fruit. This year it didn't flower. For whatever reason, last year it was heavy, and I fell in love with the fruit, and I'm probably going to plant more of that tree. This is my Sassy Love, my smallest and youngest tree in the grove, other than the ones we planted this year. It's got a few blooms on it, so we'll probably let this one hold some fruit on the Sassy Love. I'm definitely going to be grafting a bunch of these trees, as many as I can anyway. My tree's still young, but Sassy Love from Dr. Campbell, named after his wife. All right, so that was row number 1. Row number 2, we'll start on this end. This one is called Pina Colada. For me, the tree is relatively dwarf. It always looks a little chlorotic and not super happy. It's for some reason it always kind of has this faded out look, even when everything else is going well. Produces small fruit, but very tasty. This year it looks like it's flowering very nice. Next one is the 015. This is one of the larger trees that didn't get really badly damaged. It just got pushed over. So it's a little bit imbalanced. I'm probably going to end up taking this whole branch off and having the canopy be upright. Right now this is kind of pushing out into the pathway. But 015 is another newer variety out of Zills. This one is the Orange Sherbet. This one took a lot of damage from the storm. It was quite a lot larger tree last year, and we did graft a lot of these. So I do have them in the nursery. It doesn't look like it's flowering this year. It just took way too much damage. So it's going to be taking a break on Orange Sherbet. Same thing with M4. This is a tree that I love the fruit, but I'm questioning. It's never been a healthy looking tree for me. And you know, that maybe that's my horticulture that's not helping it perform well, but compared to other trees in the grove, it's never looked particularly healthy, but it has fruited most years particularly well, like very well. Heavy fruit. Kind of surprising for how sparse the canopy tends to be, how much fruit it holds, and they're very good. This is a slightly more uncommon variety. It's called Jhanger. This tree used to be, you know, that height, very dense, beautiful tree. Actually, this is one of my favorite growth forms. This tree it looks amazing. It's just dense, dark green. It makes a fruit that's similar to Alon or Mahashanuck. Green skin, almost whitish kind of flesh. If you like Indian mangoes, this might be something you'd like. Obviously, my tree's not producing any this year. This is the guava tree. It got pushed over pretty hard. It's trying to come back. No flowers, so that's unfortunate because I really like that particular variety. Dwarf Hawaiian. Believe it or not, this is an older tree. It's just they just don't grow. This tree would rather make flowers than make leaves. I've seen this flower many times in a season, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 times sometimes, and if it doesn't set, it just flowers again. This time it looks like it's already flowered pretty well, and then it's got newer panicles, you know, just like it always does. So we'll see. Last year we had a few fruit. I haven't really had a heavy year, but this isn't a very big tree, so we'll see if we get a heavier fruit set this year. Cotton candy makes a big fruit. A lot of people really like it. Tree seems to be pretty robust and vigorous. You can see there's some big leaves on this tree. You know, just keep in mind that, you know, a lot of this is hurricane damage. A lot of it's wind damage, so you're going to see shredded leaves and damage like this. This is actually like wind burn, and you'll see on some of the trunks they're even burned. Here's another new variety called Zebda that I planted. And then here's one called Suihinta, which I think is the same as the raw honey. This is where my coconut cream tree used to be. The storm actually broke that one off below the graft. It completely broke the whole tree off. And then over here, I had a pineapple pleasure, and same thing. It broke and it damaged the root system in the ground, so there wasn't anything to salvage there. So that's the end of row 2. You can look down the pathway. This is a tree that I get people asking for all the time. This is called Peach Cobbler. I acquired this tree at a time where they were really hard to get, so I got kind of this awkward, really tall, lanky tree, and I topped it and pulled the branches down to set up the structure for it. Unfortunately, the hurricane broke off this entire half of the tree. You can see there used to be all of this over here. That's all gone. But the remaining portion is flowering heavily. And this one flowers and fruits heavy every single year. This is on my short list for commercial potential mango varieties. It's just nice sized fruit. Everyone seems to like the fruit, and it's consistent, you know, so it kind of does everything I need. This is my Chocanon. It lost most of its canopy. This almost kills itself with fruit every year. It just way overdoes it. Hundreds and hundreds of fruit on a tree. This one looks like it's taking a break because it really didn't have any canopy after the storm. Kaser, this is one of the ones I really like. One of the ones that made me fall in love with mangoes. This was one that I tried at John Painter's farm years back and was just blown away by it, and still love it very much. Usually it'll have a light year and then a heavy year. Last year was rather light, so we should have been primed for a heavy fruit set year this year, but you know, again, we've had that hurricane damage, and that's holding us back a little bit. Mahashanuck, similar to that peach cobbler tree, it lost a huge chunk of its canopy, so it's really imbalanced right now. Last year it fruited quite well. This year it looks like it's just got a few panicles on the side there. Probably going to take some recovery time to come back. Sammoon is full of flowers. Smaller tree. My tree doesn't seem to be all that vigorous, so I'm not sure if I'll stay stoked about that tree or not. We'll see. Namdak flowered really, really early, like way early. I don't know if it was because of the storm or what. So it's already got, you know, reasonable sized fruit, and then it flowered again. See, there's fruit in here. This is way early. I don't know if that's something Namdak will do every once in a while, or if it's something like an anomaly. I'm not really sure, but we should have some Namdak. It's not my favorite fruit. I know a lot of people like it a lot. The tree's beautiful. For me, the fruit tends to crack if we have a lot of sudden rain, which does happen here in Southwest Florida. The next one is Kyo Savoy. Looks like it doesn't have a flower on the tree, so go figure. We replaced the tree here. So the new tree is Kellyai, which is another green eating mango. I had a dot mango tree here, and the dot was a very tasty mango, but the tree just was not healthy, and there was scab on the fruit every year, and it just didn't look good. So cosmetically it wasn't performing, and so it made it hard to sell the fruit. So that one came out, and that way I was able to continue my green mango series. The next one is Jin Wong. Comes from Taiwan. There's a little bit of dispute about whether this is the same thing as Kellyai. I've been told yes and no. So this one's been in the ground a little longer. And then we've got Cat Saigon, another large green mango. I've come to enjoy green mangoes quite a bit, especially these Thai ones. They're crunchy and light and refreshing, and so I like having them there. This one makes just gigantic fruit. So if you wanted a big green mango, Cat Saigon's a good one. And so is Jin Wong and probably Kellyai. I think they're all fairly similar, although they're named from different countries. This one is a little gem, and it's one of my later season mangoes. It looks like it's starting to flower a little bit in there. Yeah, there's a few panicles, not very many. Unfortunately, some of these trees, you'll see they're kind of lanky and tall. It's because I didn't get to prune them like I wanted to last year. We were still in grafting mode, and then the storm came, and I kind of had to leave things alone. Here's a tree that got completely devastated. Terrelay used to be a big, gorgeous tree. Another one that I like very much. The reason I like Terrelay is because it has a long season. So you'll be, you know, on a mature one of these, I've had fruit coming off of the tree for 6 weeks. And so for the backyard grower, it's a really nice one because you can go have a few fruit every day or every other day. And it lasts a while. You don't have to pick everything all at once. So Terrelay is one that I like very much. This tree looks really nice. This one I believe is Juliet. Let me confirm because I'm walking and talking. Pretty sure it's Juliet. What are we at here? Yeah, Juliet. So this tree's trying to fall over, but it's also trying to fruit. Or at least it's flowering really well. You can see it's got some emerging, it's got some more mature panicles on this side. It smells heavenly. So hopefully we'll have a good crop of those. This next one is one of my personal favorites for early season. This is Buttercream. It's a young tree. You know, this tree wasn't released until I think 2018. Same year that Orange Sherbet was released. And whenever I've had this in our tastings early in the season, this is the winner of the tastings almost every time. Buttercream. I usually only get a few fruit a year because this is a small tree. But I will definitely be grafting more of this tree and recommending it because it's a absolute showstopper taste-wise. Excuse me. The next one, I believe this one is Super Julie. Yep, Super Julie. Flowering very nicely. This one is a very, very tasty mango. The only issue I have with it is that the fruit seems to take forever to ripen, and it can be difficult to tell when they're ready. And so sometimes you'll look at the fruit, and then later that day, that same fruit will be on the ground. Sometimes the color change is subtle. It kind of depends on whether the fruit is on the outside of the canopy or the inside. But you know, if you like Julie mangoes, you're probably gonna like Super Julie. Next one is Angie. This one I like very much as well. It looks like it's a little behind schedule, but it's flowering pretty nice. So hopefully we'll get a good fruit set. Usually this is an earlier season as well. But, you know, I think my timing is off on a lot of things, just, you know, as things recover from the storm. Here's one that's being swallowed up by these cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes, I'm pretty sure, are we at orange essence yet? Yes, orange essence. Orange essence, also yellow cherry tomato land. This tree is not doing well. I think it'll probably recover. You know, a lot of this is, it's trying to regrow, and it's getting hit by full sun. So we'll see how that one recovers. This one's getting swallowed up by tomatoes as well. And I'm pretty sure this is Malika. It's hard for me to keep track when yeah, it's Malika. Great mango, another one that I fell in love with early. I remember having it at the Fairchild Botanical Gardens. They had a tasting that Dr. Campbell was involved with, and this was the showstopper of that tasting. And definitely appreciate the Indian mangoes a lot, personally. This is what's left of my Phoenix tree. You can see the entire, you know, north side of the tree is busted off, and it's trying to reestablish. And the rest of the tree is way over here. I probably need to take some weight out of this side of the tree so it can rebalance. It's got some panicles, but they're going to be sitting out so far, they're going to hang down and probably touch the ground. So I'm probably going to have to do some corrective pruning there. Next tree is Lemon Zest. Lemon Zest got absolutely worked by the storm. This used to be a pretty glorious tree. You can see that branch is busted. There's a bunch of other side branches, and just most of the canopy is pretty ruined. I don't see any flowers on it, so I think it's gonna take a year off, and I'll probably bring the canopy down and let it reestablish a nice new top on it. This one is Kathy, a very, very good mango. This one actually in Hurricane Irma was completely snapped off at the top. It was a young tree, it was only about that tall, and it got snapped off and broke. And yeah, you would never know that it had broken. It just looks like a beautiful little canopy under there. We did lose some branching on this one. Seems like everything on the north side got smooshed that way. Next one is Venus, flowering very nicely. So we can probably expect a good crop of these. Pretty large fruit usually. Next one is Juicy Peach. Juicy Peach has got a few panicles going. Seems like it's a little bit later season, so it's still kind of working it out what it's gonna do. Edgar doesn't look like it's doing much. This one's hasn't been a great performer for me. It seems like it gets damage on the fruit, or they drop early or something. So for me, it hasn't been the best. Here's a new one. This one's called Anato or Analo. I don't know which one it is. I got it from Norris Ledesma. She said it was a really good one, and I don't think it's very common, so I'm gonna try it here. We just planted it out. Looks like it's trying to flower, so I'll probably nub those off. This tree, we're gonna end up top working. It's an Alfonso. It hasn't been performing, so very soon I'm gonna select a few of these and start top working that tree. Same thing with the next one. Next one is Irwin. Beautiful fruit, not my favorite to eat, so we're gonna top work that. So we stumped it last year for it to be top worked. This one is Fairchild. I like this fruit quite a lot actually. Comes from Panama, or it was selected in Panama. Flowering nicely, mostly on the southeast side. We'll see if it produces well. We've got Valkyrie in here. I've been surprised at how non-vigorous this was. I thought because it had Valencia Pride genetics, it was going to be a vigorous tree, and it hasn't been. It's been relatively calm. So I don't know if it's going to stay that way, or if it's just something to do with my tree, but it's flowering very heavy, and I think we'll get a good sampling of Valkyrie this year. Next one, Hemsagar. I've been told that I don't have the right Hemsagar, or Hemsagar, or however you say it. I've been told that this is not it. So I don't know if we have like a Florida Hemsagar and then there's like other ones. But anyway, that's what I received the tree as. And then the last row is the one that I covered in the last video, but I'll just run through it real quick. Seacrest, very consistent, very good mango, very productive. We got Rosy Gold. It's flowered earlier. I think it flowered and only set a few fruit because we had a cold front like right at the wrong time. So it's flowering again. So normally Rosy Gold would be my very, very first mango to fruit. We usually have fruit in May. This year it looks like most of the panicles are at the same development stage as, you know, much of the grove, so they're probably going to be some mid-season ones. My Ugly Betty tree we lost almost completely. It looks like it's trying to resprout, and that is above the graph, so we might still be able to retain that tree. I actually let this weed stay here to shade the poor little tree. Pickering is the overachiever right now. It's also looks like it's going to be one of my earliest because it's got fruit that are quite well developed in the tree. So I'm glad that one didn't get annihilated. That's a really good, beautiful, quasi-dwarfing, very popular mango. Jakarta got devastated. Looks like it's trying to recover, and we'll probably pick out its canopy sometime in the next short while here. This is a new one called, well, it's new to me, Sompari. I was trying to find this years ago, and I couldn't find a tree, and then I got one from Nerisse. So this is fruit punch. This is a really popular one. I like this fruit a lot, and I like the tree a lot. The only issue that I've had is that it doesn't seem to fruit every year. It seems like it likes to take time off. And I think we had one stretch where it didn't fruit heavy for like 2 years, and then last year it fruited okay, and this year it looks like it's gonna do something. So I like this fruit. I don't know if it's super consistent. If it was more consistent, I'd put it on my commercial potential list. Honey Kiss, I think, could go on that list. It's a late season, very productive, pretty popular fruit. They're smaller, but it's a very prolific producer. And you can see this one's got panicles shooting right out of this stumped trunk. You know, obviously this branch broke, so we had to cut it back, you know, below the break. But it's so prolific, or so precocious, I mean, that it's flowering right off the trunk. Almost to the end. This is Alempur Bonachan, popular Indian mango. It can have multiple flushes, so sometimes you get a really extended season out of it, or several seasons out of it. It may happen like that this year. We'll see. It looks like, yeah, we've got some that are further along, and then some that are just developing here. So might get a longer season out of that. And then the last one here is the diamond. Beautiful tree. This side, or at least the side of it that's still here, is flowering nicely. And then the other side obviously got busted off. But that'll about do it. I do have some other trees in the back that I can walk to if you guys want to hang in there with me. I've got some more trees. We planted a lot more on my other property, but they're all way young. They're not going to be fruiting for probably a couple few years. Some of those are seedlings. Some of those are, I did a grove of bolt mangoes, that being one of my favorites, probably my favorite mango. But in the back, I also have a collection of wild type mangoes, which I'll bring you over to right now. You can see our pineapple under coconut, under bananas, doing pretty good. Dog's leading us the way. Where's the hula? Back here we had quite a lot of damage. My jackfruits, most of them got beat up really bad. You can see that one's trying to recover there. This one, Excalibur Gold's trying to recover. You know, almost all the canopy was busted off. This is where I'm working now, trying to clean up the grove when I have spare time. This tree is this is Mangifera casturi. This is one of my favorite fruits in the world. I love it so much. I've grafted a few trees. I planted a bunch of these seedlings out on my other property. I think it's underrated. I think when more people try it, they'll get it. Just hasn't been introduced to everybody yet. This is what's left of my Mangifera lalijiwa. It used to be a big tree. It was a big tree, and it was productive. And that's all that's left. Got completely smashed. Here's what's left of my Mangifera odorata. Most of the canopy was busted off. There's one main leader, and it looks like it's establishing a nice new structure there. So that'll be nice when it comes through. This is Mangifera siamensis, supposedly from Singapore, and supposedly not a mango. It's supposed to be some kind of related mango. Flowering really nice. Over here we have Mangifera rubra seedling. That's the one that Nerisse says is the dwarfing rootstock. And then real quick, this one's called Juno. This is a hybrid, I believe, between Cambodiana and rubra patala. So I got this from my buddy Josh. And that pretty much pretty much wraps it up. Thanks for coming with me, and we'll see you next time.